Welcome, everybody. It is a great pleasure for me to have our webinar speaker, Dr. Alyaa Arabi, from the United Arab Emirates University, who is an expert in computational chemistry and is using AI, which everybody wants to learn about. So without further ado, I give the stage to Dr. Alyaa Arabi. تفضلي.
Hi, Dr. Rami. Thank you very much for the introduction and for the opportunity to speak about the research that we do. Today, I'll be talking to you about computational sciences and artificial intelligence in drug design. I am from the United Arab Emirates University in the UAE. I am part of the College of Medicine and Health Sciences, and I'm associate professor at the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology. Today, I'll be telling you about a few projects, some of which are related to cancer, others related to developing a quantum drug design tool, a little bit about AI in drug design, and the AI associated ethics. To begin with, cancer and how it relates to DNA and point mutations. And here you see a picture of electric field charges because we are interested in seeing the effect of how such electric fields can affect the probability of developing more point mutations or cancer. That project started by hearing news about people complaining where in residential areas they have these high voltage towers. And scientifically, it is known that when DNA is replicating, there are probabilities for the unwinding to happen with hydrogen bonding breaking incorrectly. So for example, it can happen with one proton moving to the other side, and that will create something called Zwitter ions, such as the A plus T minus base pair or the G plus C minus. It can also happen with two protons moving to the wrong sides, and that will create something called tautomers, or in other words, A star T star or G star C star. So what we did in our studies here is we quantified using thermodynamics and kinetics. In other words, we were looking at the stability of the molecules and how fast the reactions were happening. We could quantify, after a certain amount of time of exposure to such strong electric fields, how many of each of these Zwitter ions or tautomers are being formed and for how long they can live, to conclude as to how much these towers can have cancer. Long story short is they can have probabilities, although the probabilities are not as exaggerated as media can talk about. Then we have many of our projects that are experimentally supported. So here, one of the projects is related to proteins that are involved in DNA processes, and we are trying to find inhibitors for them. We are about to have a paper soon about this, and I'll be happy to share it as soon as it's out. We have another project about breast cancer treatment, and we already have a very promising drug in this case where we tested it on multiple cell lines, and it was giving beautiful results to show that there is a treatment of breast cancer. And this is subject to intellectual property, so I cannot reveal much about the drug itself. The third project is a project where we were simultaneously targeting both cancer and COVID-19. And this is a project that is done basically based on a drug repurposing. And also here we have reached on very interesting, very novel treatments that are also subject to IP protection at this level. The last one that we also have very good experimental support for is molecules that are binding as major minor groove binders, but also as intercalators between base pairs. These intercalators are molecules that are high in aromaticity, or in other words, any kind of molecule that is very flat, and it can make its way to insert in between two hydrogen bonded base pairs, and it causes a little bit of deformation, and eventually it leads also to diseases such as cancer. From this, I will move to talking about what we have in terms of AI in drug design. We have a review that was published last year that beautifully summarizes how AI can help throughout the pipeline, starting from disease all the way to a drug market. And you can see here in the blue boxes examples of where AI can help in things like diagnosis, mostly with X-ray and MRI and pictures that can be analyzed, and with also a sequence analysis of genes for target identification. So and here in 2024, one of the Nobel Prize team was for developing the AlphaFold tool that is about predicting the 3D structure of a protein should it be thought of as a target. Lead identification, where we can do virtual screening, but it's no longer the classical virtual screening where you have a library and you're screening all molecules for a given target. It is an AI-assisted virtual screening where you can predict all the properties without necessarily calculating them at a time-consuming level. Lead optimization, and here there are so here the molecule, we think that we have a molecule that is good, but we want to improve it further to have less side effects, to make it live longer, to make it more hydrophobic instead of hydrophilic, for example. And this is where AI also is helping a lot in, for example, predicting toxicity, in predicting admit properties, in quantitative structure activity relationship, where you can predict right away what is the activity to be expected based on the structure, etc. There are also lots of AI help in the preclinical trials, where, for example, you need to optimize the dose that you need to give to the patient. It's a partial precision medicine treatment in that sense, and AI is doing a lot, very well with this. Also, it connects it with the genes, with the how advanced the disease is, and the history, the medical history of the patient. Okay, and then we talk about clinical trials. In clinical trials, there is a challenge in hiring people to begin with, but the bigger challenge is that who are the people that you are hiring, who you are hiring, and you really want to make sure that the people who are testing the medication, they don't have themselves conditions that kind of complicate the prediction of the effect of the drug. And AI has been helping a lot in this sense for triage, for recruitment, for patient selection. And last but not least, drug approval. So overall, you want to know the drug, whether it's okay to be out there. You want to know that will FDA at all approve it. There are already some tools that you can give them the structure of the drug and tell them, do you think FDA will approve this drug, yes or no? So, and all the way to drug market. Even if you want to market for the drug, if you want to target certain people over others, marketing, AI in marketing. With this, I will move to the quantum tool that we developed in drug design. This tool was granted 2 patents recently in 2024. In very short and sweet description, the first patent was as a result of the tool being able to classify cluster conformers. So I can see claps here. So the conformers are classified as you see here. So the tool is called average electron density. It's called the AED, or short acronym is AED. In the AED, if you put so many conformers of one molecule into this tool, it will give you so many different classes of molecules. And you can see the conformers here share the same pictures, and these pictures are called electrostatic potential maps. They are representation of where you have more positive versus negative regions, and that will give you a guidance for the key and log complementarity between molecule at a given conformer with a given receptor. So you can see here the advantage of these classification is that when I have these conformers, because they have all the same electrostatic potential maps, I can take only one of them and test its interaction, and then I will know the interaction of all the others. It should be in principle the same. So it reduces the search in potential drugs and their conformers significantly. The second patent is one step more advanced, where not only the tool, so we borrow the fact that the tool can classify conformers, and after this classification, we replace the drug with a bioisosphere. A bioisosphere means a group of atoms that are taken from the original drug and replaced with another group of atoms. Now, this is done in the hope of optimizing, like I mentioned above, the lead optimization. You have a drug that works, but you want to make it better. So here, what we are doing is we're doing this bioisosteric replacement. So we take one molecule, do all the conformer classification, complete the substitution, do all the conformer classification of the new analog, and look at the groups that have the same average electron density, and they will have the same electrostatic potential maps. So for example, here you can see that the original drug has 4 red lobes with 1 blue lobe, and you can see here at very similar dispositions, 4 red lobes and 1 blue lobe. So you kind of know that which conformers in particular are going to interact the same, even though you are looking at different molecules. With this, I will move to how AI use is related to ethics and what are some of the practical challenges in that aspect. We have several publications that involve and talk about these things, and I will only give a highlight about the most important ones, including, for example, data accessibilities for smaller groups versus bigger groups. And usually bigger groups can manage their way to have access to data much easier, which is probably not as fair. Data privacy, patients probably really don't, even if anonymous, they don't want their data to be used for training. And even here, the people, so I will move to the last point here about the job opportunities. So the people who are giving the patients could be themselves doctors. So the doctors could be giving data about themselves, could be training the tools, and could be doing everything only for the tool at the end to replace them. So this is, in a way, has some ethical considerations to be taken into account. And yes, everyone argues that when you are having AI, you are creating new opportunities for new jobs, but the level of the jobs that are being created is roughly 20% of the jobs that are being taken away from the market. So what do we do with the 80% gap? There are the bias and overfitting. So if you don't have, AI is very data hungry. So if you don't have a lot of data to train the system, it could start giving you not so good outcomes. It could be biased for training for certain part of the world as opposed to another part, and that also is not good. So for example, you cannot predict potential of developing cancer for Europeans and use that tool for Africans because their genes are different and they respond differently to exposure to sun, for example. Accountability, liability, and trust. Of course, if a machine messes up, you cannot go and sue it. So that's a problem. A machine goes and is practicing certain surgeries in the hospital, but does it have a license to practice medicine, for example? And the people, to which extent are they willing to trust the machine that it is working without the control of human beings for the quality assurance, etc. Okay, with this, I would like to thank my collaborators, the funding agencies, and a big thanks to my team who is supporting with all the work that I showed today. And thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Alyaa. Very, very informative introduction to how AI is in chemistry and drug discovery, but also with your 3 big discoveries and the patents. Very, very interesting and comprehensive. Dr. Alyaa Arabi is also representing the Arab region in the World Academy of Sciences twice. She's a young affiliate of the Academy and a young affiliate alumni as well. and she's a leading figure in the Middle East and the Arab world in women in science. We would like to know in maybe a minute or two, how did you achieve this stage since, I don't know, high school maybe? How did you reach your position of associate professor?
Since high school, I was born and raised in Lebanon, and I studied at a private school there. It definitely has a big impact on my path because I had one of our instructors come to me and tell me, if you're not a chemist, you have to be a chemist. So I took it from there as a high school student to Canada, where I registered at Mount St. Vincent University as an undergraduate student in chemistry major, biology minor. And from there, I took a Bachelor of Honors degree, which is equivalent to a one-year master's. And then I did the PhD program at Dalhousie University, again in chemistry with basically by training, it was all computational chemistry. From there, I moved back to the Middle East, and I was working part-time at Abu Dhabi University, then full-time at Zayed University as assistant professor, then was promoted to associate, and soon after I moved to the United Arab Emirates University to be where I am. The school that I attended in Lebanon is called Sainte Famille, Abrin.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Alyaa. It's a very nice talk, and we hope to have you in person in Egypt very soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and the opportunity, and thank you so much.